So, Pat,
So, Jim.
can you imagine that this is Thanksgiving already this year?
No.
And today
Can you
is.
imagine that you're here for Thanksgiving?
I can imagine
That's
that.
wonderful.
And I'm delighted, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to check that all is good. And it is. You're perfect. You're perfect right where you are. And so it is the 26th,
7th
27th,
of November,
2024.
2024.
Excellent. And I loved our lunch. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah.
What an incredible place. It's like a restaurant. They come and they seated us.
Yes.
There are like 6 tables there.
Yes. Now, those are the tables that we normally are sitting at,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the people are not there. So we were filling, like we were at a table where normally Father is seated with 3 other men. But they're all out today, so we got they used that table to seat us and range the people that were having visitors so that they sat with their families, which was very nice,
It was very nice.
They go out of their way. There's no two ways about it.
It's incredible at how, as you were telling me, how giving they are for a place that they don't have a whole lot.
They don't. When they closed the skilled unit, I said to myself, what a leap of faith that was, because you get between 9 and 13,000 a month per resident in a skilled unit. So you figure if you rounded that out to 10 grand a month times 30, they lost $300,000 a month of monthly income, and all they had was what they got from us, which basically is a little less than 1/2 of our monthly income. So, and we all have to be low income. So you figure they're not getting much money from us
No.
to keep the place going. So Sister Raymond had told us at one time that what they got from the residents accounted for 25% of the cost of running this building. The rest is all donations and contributions.
Philanthropy and
Yes.
families and others in the area who
Yes.
see the good
Who
of
could- yes.
Little Sisters of the Poor at this residence here in the
Yes.
Bronx. We're in the
Yes.
Bronx, and there's like 3 or 4 of these in the U.S., right? There's one in Baltimore.
Little Sister Homes?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more than that.
Oh.
There's about 14 in the United
Oh, okay.
States. Yeah, but there's one in, the one that we share with now is Queen of Peace, which is in Queens Village, in Queens,
In
right on
Queens.
the border in Nassau County,
Yeah.
Nassau Queens border. But one week, our home goes to the Hunts Point Market, and the next week, the Queen of Peace home goes. And all of our produce is donated at the Hunt Street Market. The merchants there donate.
Oh, my.
Yep,
And that meal we had was incredible.
yep.
Wow.
Now, the turkeys will be donated, but not necessarily from the market, but theirs is produce, so it will be vegetables and fruits mostly,
Okay.
But you should have seen, they put packages of figs out, and every resident could take a package of figs if they wanted it, the dried figs, I made salad for everybody on Monday. They asked me if they had nobody to volunteer for the kitchen, so they asked me if I would volunteer and make the salad for the house. And I like to do something different. I don't like to do just lettuce, tomato, carrots, celery, onion, So I did it with figs and with cranberries and walnuts, put that into the lettuce and all. And so I used the figs. I cut up a lot of the figs to add to the salad, But that's the kind of thing, and what I love about that is you never know what's coming in. So there's a certain amount of creativity goes into the menu, because no matter what your menu is for the week, it's going to be guided by what comes in on the market. Like all those sweet potatoes, that's all donated.
That's incredible.
That we had all those sweet potatoes, the dressing and the green beans are all donated because we're doing a can collection right now. So that's all coming in from different churches that are donating cans and dry goods, like the dressing and that kind of thing, it's incredible to see. And it makes you aware of how good people are.
Yeah, it really does. And you've been here for 11 years?
As a resident,
As
yes.
a resident, and longer. Before that, you were serving, you were teaching.
Teaching, yeah.
And I have so many memories here. But overall, very good. Some are very sad, and happily sad. Like
Yes.
the services we had here for Grandma, your mom.
Yeah. And then for
my dad.
your dad.
Yep.
Well, we had grandmas 100th birthday,
here.
and then we had our funeral.
And we had our funeral.
And we had Bob's funeral.
The timing of those things were impeccable,
Yes,
right? We had her
yes.
birthday in August 2014,
We had her birthday in August of 14.
and then
And she
passed,
died in October of 14.
so just a couple months later.
Months later, right.
Right,
And then the next year we were doing Bob's,
that's right.
your dad's funeral.
And we were all
Yeah.
here too, and we were in this room having shots of vodka for Dad,
Yes.
which was really good. And one of the things I really appreciated in your bedroom, you have a picture of your mom and dad, their wedding picture.
Yes.
And you have a picture of my
Yeah.
dad when he looks like a young kind of
Actor.
actor.
Oh
James
my God, he's
Dean.
so, yes, he's so handsome in that picture.
He's very handsome.
Yes, yes.
He looks like, Mike looks like him.
Yes, very
He
much.
looks like Mike.
That picture that we saw, I thought it was Bob, and it was Michael.
And I loved looking at you took out the photo album a few minutes ago, and you were sharing pics from the 30s, the 40s, and again, when you're the big sister,
Yeah.
and Dad is wearing what I call a gangster hat,
Yeah, yes.
and you pointed out, you say, look at the bottom there, he's wearing knickers.
Yes. and he hated them.
You remember that?
Oh, yes. He could hardly wait to get long pants.
Really?
They had to be a certain age before they got the long pants. But in probably about 7th or 8th grade before they could wear long pants. Up to the 5th or 6th grade, they were in the knickers, Yeah. And they really didn't care for the knickers at all. And I don't blame him. But he didn't look bad in them, but, it was what it was. That was the 40s.
That was the 40s. So that photo we looked at, he was probably 6 or so.
Yes.
So that would have been like 42-ish.
Yes.
And you were the big sister, and Janet was right behind Dad.
Yeah.
And curious, so you've already shared a couple of first memories of Dad, and then, let me just start there.
Okay.
And that period of time. Mom, Dad, any first memories jumping to mind?
You mean of Bob as kids?
Yeah, and or kids, memories as a kid.
Well, Bob and I were always closer, and we would get Janet to do things. But Janet would rat us out, so you always had to be careful. I remember for Christmas we had gotten my mother. We used to get an allowance. It would be like 5 cents a week, and Bob shined shoes, so he had a little more money than the rest of us. So we would put enough together. So we got enough together to get my mother a handkerchief for Christmas, and a fancy handkerchief, And that was our big surprise. We were still in grade school, And,
so 10 years old, maybe you were.
Yes,
12.
10, 11, 12 in there. And, and Janet got mad at us one day and said, "Mom, you know what they got for you for Christmas?"
Oh.
But she was also very gullible, so we could trick Janet. And I think I told you the story about we lived in a 2-story house in Sheepshead Bay, and we were never allowed to read any comics except the classics. We were never allowed to read any of the others. But the people downstairs from us had piles of comics in the basement where the furnace was. And we used to have to put coal on the furnace because it was coal heat. So when my dad was at work, one of us would go down periodically to throw coal on the fire. And we would see the comics in the corner. So one day, I hung a sheet out the bedroom window and went down to the cellar and tied comics on the other end of the sheet, and Bob and Janet hoisted the sheet up into his bedroom, and we put them under his mattress. That's where we hid them. So it was after supper. I was playing the piano, and it went living room, dining room, bedrooms, but the kitchen was off the dining room. And I heard my mom and dad in the kitchen. I heard him say to my mother, "I'm going to go back and see what they're doing. They're too quiet back there. But I'm practicing the piano here and I can't get past the door to warn him that he's coming. So he walks in with the comic books, sees the comic books. What's the first thing he does? Flips over the mattress. Now, he's a cop, so he sees all the. My brother Bob got punished. Never ratted me out. Never said it was Pat's idea, Pat did this. Never included me, and wonderful sister that I was, I never said anything either.
Wow.
So he took it all on the nose first.
Wow.
He took it all on the nose. That's one of the things I remember. You know, he was always very I guess he was manly in his virtue. No matter what, he was not going to incriminate. You know, he was not going to incriminate anybody else.
Loyal.
Yes, and a lot of honor to him. You know, he was not going to incriminate his sisters. You know, he was a good guy. Really good guy.
He was a good guy, and he brought that at home, you know, as a dad too.
Yeah.
That kind of honor. There was. Go ahead.
No.
So, there was another story you told a long time ago. Well, I asked you. You are a very giving person, and now you're talking about your dad. You're talking about your brother and sister. And I asked you, where do you think you got that from? Because you've always been a person of service as long as I've ever known you, and you've given to so many people here in this community, of course, as a nurse, as a nun. When I asked you earlier, where do you think you got some of that from?
Yeah, from my dad for sure, a good bit of it, but I also think I remember Alex, my dance instructor, saying to me one time, Pat, why don't you do something to make yourself happy? And I said, Alex, you don't understand. Doing things that make other people happy makes me very happy. And it's, you know, so it's sort of a two-way street. I'm giving a service, but I'm also getting at the same time, you know, because to know that somebody else is happy or has a better day or enjoys a little bit of comfort because of something I could do just delights me, you know? So I think my dad was always very kind, always, you know, he could be very firm. And but I remember we'd go out and he would see kids and maybe they'd be doing something a little bit dangerous, and he'd always go over and talk to them. Never yell at them, you know, but always with firmness say, hey guys, you know. And I always loved the way he treated kids that we saw on the street. Like we would take a walk every night after supper. And if he saw a group of kids, and they were young, and it isn't like a gang on the corner like you'd see today. It was just kids in the neighborhood, you know. But he would see them maybe doing something that was a little bit dangerous, like jumping off a wall or something like that. And he would go over and, you know, always say a few words, but always with a kind firmness. And I think that stayed with me, because I think even as a nurse, as a director of nursing, I always felt that there is a place for firmness, but you don't have to be nasty. You know, you can be kind and still be firm, still make your point. And I think if I have any of that, I certainly got it from him. You know.
Well, you have a lot of that, and I have a lot to learn. There are times I missed a mark on that a lot.
Well, we all do, Jim. We all do. We all do. You know, it's just human nature. But then you turn around and you say, okay, that wasn't my best performance.
That's a good way to look at it. Yes.
I know, even here sometimes I say, oh my gosh. I know one day, what happened that I got so angry with one of the residents. I forgot what happened, but I was angry with the man. He's very annoying. He talks nonstop about himself constantly. And whatever he was doing, I had said to him, oh, so-and-so wants to sit at his table. And he made some nasty remark, you mind your business for your table and I'll mind mine. Well, I got up, and I was very angry, but I got up to go get my food, but he thought I was coming after him. And it got into a, you know. one of these verbal altercation, and afterwards I thought, that didn't work. That's not the way to do it. But it's spontaneous,
Right.
I have to say another story. We had a social the evening before, and one of the residents, we had ramekins with ice cream, and one of the
What was that?
ramekin. It's a little dish
Okay.
with ice cream in it, and so some of them were left over. So one of the residents took it back to the kitchen. The next day, Sister Teresa pulls out the tray with the ramekins on it, not realizing that this ice cream has all melted and is still in there, and it goes all over her habit. So she blames me. So she comes at me in the dining room, sitting at that table where I told you I sit. Now, she comes running up to me at the table, and she's reaming me out for the ice cream that I didn't put in the freezer instead. And I said to her, sister, I don't know what it's about. So I said, it wasn't me. Well, who was it? Now, at this point, I know who it is, but I'm not going to tell her. So she keeps at me. And I get up and I think, oh, I'll go get my food. Maybe that'll stop her, So all the way up to where the service was today, she's following me, berating me for, the next time we're going to do this more simply, and, you're going to put it where it belongs. And okay. So finally, I get 3/4 of the way to the table. And I turn to her and I say to her, sister, I don't give a shit.
And what was her reaction?
She stopped dead in her tracks. Dead in her tracks. Patrick, who's one of the workmen here for years, he was putting something up right on the wall there. He almost fell off the ladder. Every time he saw me all day, he burst out laughing.
Oh, my.
Nobody could believe. I couldn't believe I did it. I come out to the desk afterwards. I said to Sister Raymond, I said, sister, I told her what happened. I said, I don't talk like that. She says, well, you were just pushed a little too far. So when she starts to come back down the aisle towards the table, and I said, you stay away, you stay away. And she said, no, she said, I'm coming to apologize. So I said, okay. I said, I apologize to you as well. And then I said to the people at the table, I'm so sorry to put you through this during your dinner. And they said, oh, no, it's fine. We're having a good time.
You're always one for a good show, Pat.
So that night she came out to the desk while I was there, and she said, are we talking? I said, of course we're talking. It's, and we laugh about it now. She says, I made you say a bad word. But it stopped her dead in her tracks. She just didn't know what to make of it. I was kind of shocked, too. One of the residents said to me, she said, stopped you dead, too, didn't it?
Oh, I love that. We're going to take a little break right here.
Okay.
Thank you for all those great stories.
Oh, jeez.
We'll come back in a second. That's so perfect, Pat. I
Is
love
that what
these
you're
stories.
after?
Yes. This is so perfect. I just want to check to... Now I'm going to just do a mini check. Are you okay? You doing
Sure.
okay? I love it. I love this. All right, let me just do a quick...